Hello, hello, hello. It's Nancy Johnson with Sunday's Best. And I trust that you had a great Father's Day weekend. And now you're kind of putting yourself in position to have a great week on this coming week. So if anybody can see me, hear me, please let me know. As always, I'm anxious to get started to share with you, as I have been doing for the past 7 years on Sunday's Best. And we rarely take weekends off because I know it's hard for people getting back on. They'll say, I didn't know whether you're going to have it this week or whatever. But if I'm out of town and I don't have connections, then of course I don't do Sunday's Best. But I'm in town, and if you can hear me, see me, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and you can do a replay on tonight. Hey, Genevieve Burgess. So my labor is not in vain. Not that I thought it would be, because this is ordained. I am commissioned, Olivia, it's my mission to help people in areas where I have been blessed to have knowledge. And so having knowledge all by itself it could benefit me, but when it benefit the masses of people, hey, Olivia, Genevieve, Gloria Moore, Gloria Lukey, you guys are here. And so I really appreciate you. Now, the first thing tonight is going to be, I'm going to ask you, we had a challenge on last week. Last week we talked about money leaks that most people ignore. Remember that long list? Money leaks that most people ignore. And my challenge to you was to go down the list, find at least 3 things. I believe I asked you for 3, but I know I said find some things that may just be where you're throwing money away. And I wanted you to put a $sign by it. All right. So you should have a $sign saying that you paid yourself this week. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a refresher. But if you have your list ready, and Gloria Lukey said, yes, you can hear me. If you have your list ready, put a $sign. You know what it costs you for cable or a subscription or whatever. So some of the money leaks were memberships that you don't use, excessive phone plans that you could do without, premium cable packages, money fees that you pay to a bank. Hey, Diane Jackson, food delivery. It costs. I've never ever had food delivered. And I rarely have anything delivered from Amazon. The only thing I know that I've ordered on Amazon was my books when I published them. So I'm not guilty of that one. And paying high utility bills because you're not conserving. Is that a money leak? Let's see. If you find that you're throwing away a lot of expired food out of your refrigerator or your pantry, that's a money leak. Okay? So I want you to, again, be honest with yourself and ask, am I throwing away my hard-earned money? And if so, what can I do to correct that problem or that habit? All right? So make sure you answer that question and tell us how much money you're actually saving by disconnecting from bad habits. So I think I said it before. Happy Father's Day to all of you. I don't always see all the names. We may have some fathers on, or we may not. But each one of us had or has a father that we remember, or a spouse, as in my case, that I remember, always remember on Father's Day. And so everybody deserves to be celebrated when it's their season. And especially good men, good fathers, they really should be celebrated. And Gloria Lukey is the first one. She says, pay late payment fees, extended warranties. Those are things that she found that were money leaks. And that is one of the things, extended warranties. You got to know when it's a good idea and when it's not. Genevieve Burgess says cash back from shopping for a fee. All right. Let's see who else is on. Hey, Lily James. Okay, so we've been talking for the past 7 years, whether you were with us the entire time or not. We've been always talking about get out of debt, get out of debt. So what's your reason for wanting to unload debt? I know each one of us want to be out of debt for one reason or another, and then probably another 10 reason or another over what the other person wants to get out of debt for. So what's your reason for wanting to unload debt? Maybe that might help you to better strategize on getting out of debt or getting out from under so much debt. All right. So what will you do for what would you do for your financial future? What is it that you would do? What would you give up? What would you commit to? What would you declare and decree that has to happen for you to have a better financial future? How would it make you feel? When you have a reason to do something, it's usually more motivating. So if you want to get out of debt, how is it going to make you feel? And how is that going to change your future? What are your financial goals? Do you have any? Are your goals so, do you want to achieve your goals so much or so bad that sometimes it causes you to lose sleep? I know that is true for me, has been all my life. Whatever I set my mind to do, and I didn't know it was called a goal, but it's like, I'm going to do this, or I want to do this, or how can I do this? I was always inspired to write it down. I wrote stuff down when I had to write it on a brown paper bag. Hey, Vivian. So, what are your financial goals? What would cause you to lose sleep at night? Not worry, but to lose sleep because you're trying to figure out, am I on the right track? How can I really get inspired? What do I need to do in order to achieve this goal? So Sunday's Best topics are designed to have you examine where you are and create and design the best road or the best route for you to reach your destination. Now that's a lot, but if you think back over it, we've been talking about things like debt overload, things that we often spend money on, calling it a necessity when it's really not. So if you think back to any topic it was never just doom and gloom, but always inspiration or giving you hope, or at least giving you some nuggets, some wisdom on how to reach your goal. All right? So what are you saving for? What is it that you want to achieve? And so tonight, which we rarely talk about it, because a lot of people would think that that's all I do is talk about real estate. But real estate is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And so we've been building up to getting out of debt, buying a home, investing. And tonight we're going to talk more about investing. What are the things you should consider before you buy your first rental property? You don't just ride by a house, call the number on the sign, and say, I want to buy this house. Definitely, if it's supposed to be a rental property and it's supposed to generate income for you. So Gloria Moore says, grocery shopping without a list is a leak of almost $75 a month. Credit card charge that I should have put on my debit card. All right. So it does make sense. And if you want to make sense and you want to make money, you need to follow Sunday's Best. Now, I'm going to ask a rhetorical question before I get into things that you should consider before buying your first piece of rental property. I don't know what else is competing with Sunday's Best, and I'm so over it because this message every single Sunday is for an appointed people who want to make a change, people who want to plan, people who want to have success. And it's not for those who don't want any of those things, because it definitely would be boring to them. All right. But each one of us have to value our time. And those of you who have been consistent and insistent on getting all you can about improving your financial situation, you're at the right place at the right time. And like I said, the topic tonight is near and dear to my heart. It is real estate. Things that you should consider before buying your first rental property. You just don't jump out there. Just don't connect and work with just anybody, because everybody does not have your interests at heart. All right. It's all about the commission. It's all about them and none about you. You're just a crystal in a capsule. And after being in business, after getting out of the corporate world of 19 years, almost 19 years, and starting a business, I have to tell you, it was scary at times, but it was never anything that the scarier part was when I was making up my mind to do it. Once I made up my mind that if I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to work at it being a business, something where I'm going to get compensated for the amount of hours that I put in. And I put in a lot of hours. Nobody said it would be easy. And it wasn't always easy. But it was always doable because I believed that I would do it. So you got to have a goal. You got to have a plan. So real estate, for me, most of you know, came from very, very, very humble beginnings. Hello, Gloria and Lavinia. Very humble beginnings. No luxuries. But at age 23 in New Haven, Connecticut, we bought our first piece of real estate. And now that I think about it, I thought about it a little bit today. That was a huge challenge for any 23-year-old, and especially two African American, 23 and 24 years old, in one of the most expensive states in the U.S. We were among a handful of 23-year-olds in New Haven buying real estate. We did it. And so we didn't have a coach, but I did listen to infomercials at night about how to buy real estate once we bought our first home. And we ended up buying 2 there. And we ended up buying 3 before I started selling real estate, 2 in Connecticut and 1 in South Carolina. So don't let the fact that you don't know everything stop you from beginning. But here are a few things that I want you to know. Do not invest with anyone that you don't trust, that is trying to sell you something rather than explaining to you or educating you. It is necessary. Hey, Andrea. So number 1, know your investment goal. Don't just say, I'm going to buy a house. Have a goal, have a plan, and I'm going to share with you why. Second, you need to understand your finances, where you are, where you're trying to go. And that's why it's important to have goals. Before you buy that first piece of rental property, before you go to anybody and sign on the dotted line, sit down with them and have a deep conversation. Yeah, very deep. Go deep before you lose your shirt. So having that conversation, a good seasoned, experienced realtor can share their experiences with you. We started by buying a single family home, and we bought 3 single family homes before we bought our first investment property in 1982. And still, everything I knew about real estate was either what I took time to read, to study, to buy books, to invest in tapes, cassette tapes, 8-track tapes, you name it. I wanted to know what was going on in the world of real estate. And real estate at that time, it wasn't what I was going to leave a job for of 19 years for. But when I did make that decision, I had a lot of information under my belt. All right. So if you're thinking about or considering buying real estate, number 1, know what your goals are. Understand where you are in your finances. Make sure you have a cash reserve for you and yours before you buy that first piece of rental property without knowing what you're getting into. Understand the true value of homeownership. And believe it or not, you need to learn about landlord-tenant responsibilities before and the Fair Housing Act before you buy. So there's a lot of things that you and your agent need. Your good, seasoned, experienced, helpful agent are going to ask. You might want to interview them, but they need to interview you to make sure that they're giving you the right information for the right time. You want to avoid making emotional purchases, or somebody sharing with you, if you don't do this deal, you'll never get another one. All right? So you got to think about it. And here are a few things that I suggest. A lot of people don't do real estate, don't invest, because they're afraid to take the risk. But if you're going to take a risk on something, why not learn real estate, the ins and outs of real estate? Why? Because real estate is always going to be in style. It's always going to be in demand. And if you buy the right piece of real estate, you can't go wrong. All right? But you just don't jump out there and say, I'm an investor, or I want to buy a piece of property. And location is one of the things that you should have on your checklist. First, find the right realtor. Second, have the right conversation. Third, have a set of goals. What are you trying to accomplish? So I know how best to help you. And you got to be ready financially. They're still going to look at your credit. They're still going to look at your income to debt ratio on most of the normal ways that people get properties financed. There are some other ways to do it, but I'm not getting into that tonight. And so remember, location. If you buy the right property in the wrong location, you're afraid to go do the repairs. Before you can fix one thing, somebody has broken in and torn up something else. You might just have the wrong location. And if you are afraid to go collect your rent, most people don't go and collect. It gets sent to them. But if you're afraid, then you're probably drawing attention from the wrong people and in the wrong location. And so no matter what or how good the deal is, if you feel threatened or in danger working at the property, going to the property that you own, it is not the right property, no matter how much or how little that property cost you. So remember, I strongly encourage you to drive. If you're thinking about, where's the right location? Well, you and your realtor, once you tell them what you're trying to do, if you're looking to buy low, repair, rent, hold, they're going to ask you, okay, how long do you plan to hold it? What is your goal? Is it to hold it long enough to have funds for college for your child? Or is this a 10 or 15 year project that you're going to rent it? The tenant is going to pay your mortgage. The tenant's rent should be enough to cover insurance, taxes, and put some money in your pocket. While over that 15 or 20 year period that you're working for someone else, that property is working for you while you work for someone else until you retire. And then if you got a 30-year mortgage and you already paid it down 20 years, the appreciation should be a good lump sum of money. That equity can help you with your retirement. But think about it. If you don't learn what you can up front, you don't think about investing until you retire, a lot of stuff is going to work against you, because when you're ready to retire, you will probably be receiving 60-70% of what you would have been receiving while you were actively working. Sure, you might pick up Social Security, but don't bank on that either. So you need to have a heart-to-heart talk with somebody in the know, somebody that has done what you're trying to do. And I can honestly say, we started as novice, but our head and our heart was in the right place. We weren't afraid of work. We would get out there, paint the property, do whatever we needed to do so that we could get a tenant in and start the rent to rolling in. So remember, buy quality, look for the best realtor, get the best advice, buy when you're ready or when you have checked off things on the list like location, how much passive income should I expect? Well, if you don't do your homework and you say, okay, the tenant is paying $1,000, my mortgage payment is $500, so I'm making $500. Well, not so quick. The taxes, if the taxes on the property when the owner was living in it, or if you were living in it as the owner, would be here in South Carolina, 4%. But boy, oh boy, once you put a tenant in there and it's not your primary residence, even if it was your primary residence and you sold it to another person, then the tax is 6%. So taxes that probably were $2,000 will now become $5,000. And if you thought that you were making $500 before you added up the cost of the tax, the insurance, then you could end up with what you thought was $500 actually being $100. And I'm not saying that that's not a good investment if you bought it in the right place. But if you bought that investment thinking one thing and it turns out to be another, then you should be looking at your goals and you might have to adjust. I thought I was going to turn this one over in 3 years. I thought I was going to be getting an extra $500 a month coming in, but it's not turning out that way. Well, while we're talking about the benefits, here's another thing you need to consider. You can't jump in and out. Most people can't jump in and out of a transaction just because they bought it in January, and come March when they're making the payment, they realize that the payment is going to be more than what they thought it would be. All right? You usually can't just turn around a house, sell it that quickly, and make a good return. So as you are paying off debt, you got to have a plan. As you are saving for the emergency fund, you got to have a plan. And so why do you need a plan? Why is a plan so important? If you're an investor, here are about 4 or 5 questions you really need to be prepared to answer when you get with the realtor of choice. Every investor should ask the question. They got to answer the question. Am I buying rental property or am I buying a property to flip? Long term, short term. All right. What is your goal? Know your plan. Know what your goal is before you get in the game. What is the average rent? What is the average 3-bedroom home rent for in the area that I'm desiring to purchase property in? What would a tenant pay for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath? Every investor needs to know that before. I don't care if you're seasoned or we have owned over 159 properties. I have participated in more than 2,300 transactions. And that question, it's either what the homes are selling for in this neighborhood or what the homes are renting for. So you got to know that before you spend your money. What is the vacancy rate? Supply and demand. If nobody's moving in and very few people are moving out, think about the location. What's going on? Do you ride around in that neighborhood and you see a lot of vacant properties? You got to plan for a vacancy rate for the one that you're going to buy. What happens if the tenant for 6 months out of a year does not pay you? It's going to damage their credit, but if you don't pay the mortgage, it's going to damage your credit too. And if you got college or you're counting on that money for college, you're counting on it for retirement, 6 months of rent when the rent is $1,000, and you still got to pay the taxes and insurance, it can set you back personally. So every investor needs to have home base covered first. The deal can be a sweet deal, but if your stuff ain't in order at home, you don't have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses set aside in an account, and you're going out to buy a piece of rental property, it's scary. That's all I can tell you. Number one was know what the average rent for, say, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, if that's what you're buying. Know what amount you can get for rent. And that could be a showstopper right there. If your mortgage payment is $800 and all you can get for rent is $1,000, maybe you got a back end return on your investment, but it's not straight up. And number 2, know the vacancy rate. Number 3, what major repairs may be needed soon? This is extremely important. The 3 areas that I always tell my clients and I always look for myself are right here. If you're buying a home, when you're buying a home, how old is the roof, the existing roof? How old is it? Most will last for 20, 25 years. And if you're buying a home and the roof is 23 years old, you may not even be able to get insurance on it. The second thing, how old or what is the condition of the heating and air conditioning system? Has it got a termite bond? Can it pass and get a clear termite letter? If all of those 3 things are not favorable, unless you're going to get into a big rehab and renovation, you need to stop, look, and listen. The age of the roof, the age of the heating and air, and the termite, the condition of whether it has termite, whether it has damages. And the 4th thing I'll add, you can get a home warranty to cover some things, but it won't cover everything. Number 5, I believe it's 5. What is the neighborhood growth potential or outlook? Study the economy surrounding the neighborhood, its impact. Are there new plants opening? Plants shutting down? Big stores like Walmart, are they moving into that area? People do 5, 10, 20-year studies on neighborhoods before they decide to build or develop. So you have to keep your eyes and ears open as well if you want to become a wise investor. Does the property fit my investment goals? What is your plan? What is your plan? Sometimes people buy investment property. Hey, Vicki, and it's a great investment. They get a bulldozer and tear down the whole building because they know something that we don't know. It's like, why would they pay $100,000 and then tear the building down? Well, location. They could know something like a shopping center is going to want to be close to the interstate, and they can get big money once that house is torn down. Or they might build a duplex or quad or a small apartment. The house that was there would not bring in nearly the amount of money as a multi-family home. And I have investors that I have worked with, and I have one investor, and we say as realtors, how many doors you got? I got one investor, I think he had 3 or 4 before we started working together almost 20 years ago, and he has 18. So how would you feel being an investor? You're working, you're planning to retire, or you're already retired, and you got 18 people paying you every single month. Now, that is something to think about. But I'll bet you that investor has a plan. And when you're buying real estate, you make your money on the buy, on the front end. If you pay too much for it, it's hard catching up with it. So you got to know. Number 6, can I afford unexpected repairs? Is my goal to keep this property 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years? I don't plan to sell it. I plan to leave it as a generational property. It's family legacy. So when you go in, number 7, what is my exit strategy? I think that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 7. What is my exit strategy? Well, going in, wisdom and an experienced agent will tell you, buy low, fix up, rent or sell, hold for 5, 10, 20 years, and reach your goal. If your goal is to pay that particular property off and walk away with $200,000, $400,000, even $500,000, have a plan. Be strategic. And like I said, it all starts with selecting the right realtor. And the right realtor is going to position you instead of pressure you. They're going to position you to, number 1, have your house in order. Make sure that you don't jump or get in over your head, buying too much house, or just not thinking it through, okay? Because real estate is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So if you want to invest, number 1, get your income to debt ratios in line. Keep your credit good. Don't get into new debt. Add up the cost of whether you want to be a landlord. And here's another thing before I wrap this up. A lot of people say, oh, them tenants about to drive me crazy. I don't want to be a landlord. They're going to call you in the middle of the night. It is rare, the tenants that we've had over our lifetime, it is rare that a tenant called you and you have to get up out of bed. And if that's your worst fear and you're making $500, you're clearing $500, $300 a month, then hire a property manager. Hire a property manager. Then that becomes their job, not your job. They do the home inspections. They do the interviews. They prepare the lease. They collect the rent. They have people to go out and do the repairs for you. So don't not do a thing because of the noise, what you heard, the worst thing you heard. Remember the best thing that I told you. Find the right realtor. And another good thing is I have a guy they're collecting from 18 doors a month. You don't make this stuff up. I have the experience because I've worked with people, and I know it starts on the ground level. Position people, prepare, position, and plan. And so that's what I've been doing over the past 7 years with Sunday's Best. We've been talking about all things financial. And I decided tonight to ask you, what is it that you're working toward? What is your goal? What is your plan? What are your plans? What would you take off your plate and put on your plate in order to accomplish your life's dream? All right? So those are the things that I wanted to share with you. Why you're doing something. Your why should make you cry. And if you know why you're saving, why you are wanting to be out of debt, then when we meet, it's going to be easy for me to help you or for my team to help you to strategize. We've done it. We've done it. I did it without any coaching. I did it without a mentor. I did it when it was hard to do back in the day due to a lot of different factors. And number one, being a young Black couple trying to buy a home in one of the most expensive states, not trying. We never got turned down, never. We bought the property. And it was $27,000 at that time. And I want to say our payments, I know it was under $200. I want to say it was 136 or 37. But anyway, those deals, not many of those deals are around, but rent back in the day was $300, and that's not around either. So real estate works when you work it. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Have a why. I had my why. You have your why. And I've had a lot of success with it, and I believe you can too. But don't get suckered into anything. Don't get pushed into anything. Walk in with your eyes wide open. Grab a book. Get on Sunday's Best. Do what you got to do because you got to do. You can't sit and wait and expect anything to fall into your lap. Just like those bills are not going to go away automatically, neither is someone going to drop a piece of rental property in your lap and say, now, there you have it. All right? So y'all have a good night. Have a good life. In fact, if you're thinking about investing or know somebody that wants to move here, there, everywhere, contact me. I'm licensed in South Carolina, but I'm connected in every state with at least 1 to 2 agents that can together, the teamwork makes the dream work. And what better way than to know that your loved one is not just handed off into the hands of just anybody, but you have somebody that you know, love, and trust that is questioning, asking the questions that your loved one or the person you referred may not know to ask. But we stay in the game. We stay in the game until the keys are passed. All right? So have a good night. Have a good life. In fact, have $1 million life. And real estate is one of the tools that you can use to do it. Good night.